Broken Podcast. Welcome to The Broken Podcast. We got Johnny here. Hopefully you all checked out the first one. We're about to get into some shit today. We were talking about toxic relationships in the first podcast. And the whole purpose of this podcast is to really, not give our opinions, not share what we believe, but so today open forum, we're going to talk about, perspective, right? So we know from our life stories and our friends and the people we associate ourselves with, what we've seen. So, we'd like to hear what you see too. How much better would the world be, right? Or just the community be if people could just sit on a couch and have an open conversation, express themselves, have their feelings, agree, disagree, whatever, and just get it out there, right? Mm-hmm. So many people I know, and I know you know, they bottle that shit up, right? Mm-hmm. They bottle it up and they don't address it because they're scared, they're going to be, the words that come out of their mouth are going to be hurtful, right, to others, right? We're so tuned in to how sensitive other people are, and I don't want to hurt so-and-so's feelings, and going back to toxic relationships more so than anything. I can't say that to my girl, I can't say that to my man. Like, if I told him that, you're doing yourself a disservice by not telling them that. Being real with somebody else and having that open conversation is the best thing you could do to forward any relationship, whether it's friendship, whether it's parents, whether it's children. Like, having that open conversation is so important to keep that, to keep that bond between you two going, right? If there's a power dynamic, right? And that's what I always say, there's a power dynamic, right? It's like with kids, right? If you can be a strict parent, I consider myself to be, strict in terms of, I hold the line. If you cross that line, we're going to have a problem. I would never raise my hands to my children, but they know right out of the gate, like,
nah, fuck that shit. I won't raise my hands to my kids unless I have to. But the good thing is we don't have to, because we taught our kids
they know
right.
Better.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, no.
I still advocate for my kids, not just my kids, the other kids, you know what I'm saying, who are in the community that parents don't have the resources or know about the resources. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you see what I mean? Like, us individually we can do a lot, but imagine if all of us together, if there was 5 of us out here just doing what I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? And it takes a little bit of time.
It's that grassroots.
Yeah. And that's what it is once you start seeing a change in the community, once you start putting the unity back in calm, communicate, unity, you got it all goes hand in hand. Right. We got to stop this, competition shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's got the biggest, baddest, most, you're creating divides that we don't need. Right. If you all didn't know, that's been basically what this has been about, divide and conquer. Right. And
that's the biggest piece, looping it all into the communication and the disparity in the courts and why people can't listen to each other, like, and communicate with each other. Like, there's a human element that nobody takes consideration of. These are humans that have all lived different lives. A couple of things that I always reflected on as a kid, right? And you see that, and you hear stories about it all the time. Like, you walk down the street and you see somebody with that face, like, and you're like, God damn, what's wrong? You have no idea what that man or woman has been through on that day. Maybe they lost a child. Maybe they lost a parent. Maybe they lost their home, right? Maybe, they're out on the streets. There's so much that goes on in the world that we don't take 2 seconds to consider that there's a human element, right, Johnny? There's a human element to all this. We don't know what's going on in that person's household. We don't know what's going on in that person's life. So how dare anybody sit there and say and disagree with somebody without putting any perspective into what's going on, right? You don't know. Maybe they weren't that angry person. Maybe they wouldn't have been so violent in a certain situation if we put it in perspective, and they weren't going through what they were going through in that moment. How many times you see the news stories and all that shit, people lose their minds and flip out because they've lost everything. Is that taken into consideration? They're human. Like that, all of us go through it. We all have good days. We all have bad days, and everybody knows what that feels right. Are you the same person on that good day as you are on that bad day? No, I ain't. I know I damn sure ain't. When I'm hot, I'm hot. When I'm good, I'm good. So communication and all that, if you're not putting that human element in that, so my biggest thing is that piece of it is the human element, but the other thing is take the temperature down, right? When temperatures are hot and everybody's hot, and you're mad about a certain situation, oh, you talked to this girl or this guy, or oh, who's this, or oh, you didn't do this in the house the other day. When the temperature is high, if you try to communicate at that moment in time, shit, you're shoveling shit against the tide. You ain't doing a goddamn thing. Really? You're going to talk about it in that moment in time. Again, it's that human piece of it. Like, they're not trying to hear that right now. They're already trying to kill you. They're already looking at the blades in the strainer like, oh, yeah, keep talking. Yeah. And not to be funny about that, because I ain't promoting
understand
that,
but
I'm
just saying. If it don't work out with you and the kid, your kid's mother, at some point in time, y'all were together. Y'all had to love and respect each other and be like, I want this woman to be happy. And if y'all break up, I mean, depending on the circumstances on what you break up for, and I'm not saying like, if some chick murders somebody to hire somebody to murder her husband, then you got to be like, oh, forgive her. Fuck that. Right, you know what I'm saying? Nowadays, like, it's a whole different topic. It's the words. It's, you cut people down with your words. You know what I'm saying?
Those cuts hurt just as bad.
Exactly. It's mental warfare now. It ain't physical warfare. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we got to get our shit together. Look at the mental health rates have increased.
It's crisis.
How many people, kids, young, are committing suicide at rates that just weren't reported before? But I mean, now with social media and all these platforms, it's introduced to the world.
Military,
right? And a lot of people ignore these things because it's not important to them. It's not a competition. It's not like I said, it's not who's the bigger, the badder, the baddest. Like you, we gonna lose with that mentality. Everybody gonna lose because.
That 100, we talked about that on the last one. Both parties aren't gonna be 100 all times.
And I mean, I get it. I get it. You go through your growing pains in relationships, but you know what? The nature of every relationship sometimes changes. Your friendship can change. Your best friends can change. Your boyfriend, girlfriends can change. But here's the thing that doesn't change is the fact that you had a relationship. Right. So because you had that relationship with that person, whether it was good or bad, learn from it. If you two as people can't get along, stay away from each other until you can. Right. Because at some point in time, you should have to. And like I said, if you have kids together, you have to learn how to get along. Right. Even if you can't stand each other. Right. You know what I'm saying? There's got to be some common ground. You obviously laid with each other. Point, right? Yeah, you guys got along at some point. You know what I'm saying? Get back to that. Right. Stop acting like you can't. Like I said, if somebody... And I'm not... There are things you cannot come back from. We all know this. I'm not speaking on that.
Domestic violence.
I'm speaking on the shit that you can work on and change and make different in your life, make better. Let me not say change about, but things that you can make better in your life. Right. You can weed out all that bad shit.
Be a better partner.
Right.
Be a better partner
to each other, not just to yourself.
Support each other more.
Never compete with the person you're with or the people around you. Only compete with yourself to be a better person because only you can beat yourself. Nobody else can beat you. Okay, you can race somebody. They may be faster than you. All right? That's athletics. That's different. You know what I'm saying? You are not going to be the fastest person on earth. But if you are the best at what you do, if you consider yourself really good at what you do, then keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? That's there are outside forces, not things that affect you in your life that you may carry with you. Let those burdens go. Right. And move on to what's bigger and brighter. That's all. And I'm glad, you know what I'm saying, we got to finish talking about...
Yeah, we needed to. Yeah, it had to be done.
Hopefully y'all, you know what I'm saying, can, we want to hear the female's perspective as well. You know what I'm saying?
And that's coming. We got, it's... Johnny and I, we had to finish this conversation, but we're going to be having some conversations with a lot of people, right? Because there's a lot of different perspectives out there.
Correct. Hopefully y'all can call in. And, we're going to be doing some live shows. I enjoy this, you know what I'm saying? This is something that, I talk to a lot of people about. And I enjoy, just being a positive role model and influence to people. And I don't do it with my words, per se. I'm more of a man of action. If you see me out there doing shit, then... You know what it's about. You know what I'm saying? I stand on business. I ain't about bullshit. And, I like to talk just in general. You know what I'm saying? We are all hypocrites. We all say we going to do things and we don't do them, or we all do things we say we ain't going to do. It's all situational.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And,
it is.
And you guys got to remember that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't go in with the same mindset in every situation because every situation is not the same.
It's fluid. It's moving.
You got to be able to think on your toes and change up at the moment. Notice, you know what I'm saying? And that's how you get a control on things, is by being intelligent emotionally.
Right.
So that you can stay ahead of somebody who ain't. And you can, help them, pick up where they need to pick up. You know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing. If you're emotionally intelligent and you know somebody else ain't, and you watch them fall, I don't want to say you're guilty for anything, but how do you sit and you watch your fellow peer
and lay your head down
and know comfortably that you can go to bed at night knowing that this person is struggling? You know what I'm saying? That even a simple, hey, how are you, could have helped them.
Right.
But you watch, like, that ain't my problem.
Yep. It's somebody else's problem. Yep.
Wipe my hands clean with it. And I get it. The world, you don't have to worry yourself with the world's business. I'm not talking about with the world's business. I'm talking about when you're out in the world every day, and let's just say you on the bus and you see somebody sitting there struggling, have a hard time, say, hey, how you doing?
Right.
It ain't that hard.
Right.
It ain't.
And it might make the difference between how that person's day.
You don't even know if you might have saved somebody's life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, talk somebody off a ledge, and until you've actually experienced it, then you'll know how you feel when something like that happens. Because, if something like that happens to you, I'm sure you would say the same thing. What bothers me is to look at society in a whole and sit and see how far we have grown apart. You know what I'm saying? Like, I come from a broken home. Why are we still in broken homes? Why have we not done anything to fix it? These problems.
Needle ain't moved.
Exactly. And you sit and you say, oh, you guys are talking about, toxic relationships. That's part of the problem. There's bigger systemic problems. But we're talking about how the system ties into that. The system, look at groceries. You need two parents to work today in the household. You even need the kids to work. Hell, you gotta go get loans just to go grocery shopping. Come on now.
Right.
These are the times where we all as people have to sit and, like I said, the family bond has got to be tighter. And it doesn't matter if they're blood related or not. The people closest to you are the ones you got to love. We got to learn how to put all our differences aside. Fuck the bullshit. We all go through bullshit. It's putting it aside and working on getting better at these things. You know what I'm saying? And that's what will create better homes, less toxic traits with, human interactions. It ain't even just gotta be boyfriend, girlfriend, mother, father. You know what I'm saying? Like, this toxicity can go anywhere in any relationship. You know what I'm saying? And I think talking about it and working about it amongst each individual is the best way to, work things out. And I think a lot of it's people are afraid of humility. Laugh at your humility, man. Fuck it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, who gives a shit? People's words and people's views aren't paying your bills. They aren't. People gonna say whatever the fuck they want about you, and ain't nothing you can do about it.
Right.
But if you let it affect you, then it's actually doing something to you.
Right.
Like I said, you can't let people's opinions live your life. So get out there and do what it do, no matter what anybody say or what anybody think. And it's funny because I listened to my music back in the days, and I remember saying some shit like that. But it's the truth, man. I mean, I've felt that. I've always been that way. I've always marched to the beat of my own drum. I've always learned to never take things for what I see it, because I'm not the only one seeing it. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to put yourself on a higher plane to understand that the situation is bigger than itself. All right?
Sure.
You can't just sit there and wait for things to happen or for things to come to you. You got to get out there and get it.
And that's why we're here, because it's the Broken Podcast, and that's what we do. We talk about all the shit that's broken. And Johnny, you touched on it. I love having Johnny here because he touched on so many things, like community, right? Community, broken, perspective, broken. Two sides of every story. Like I teach my kids all the time, right? Life is going to knock you down, beat your ass left and right. Like, you're going to take losses. Nobody doesn't take losses in this life, right? All you got to do is get up. Just get up. Just get up. And if we had that same approach with these type of conversations, with everything that's broken in our society right now, and a lot of what we talk about reflects on relationships, as is stated in the podcast, because the children are the ones who suffer the most, right? Because grown adults cannot get past themselves, right, and see past themselves. Ego gets in the way. Because we want to keep up with the Joneses. We want to be like those people, right? But in reality, we turning our back on the people that are the most important to us, our children, our family, our wives, our husbands, our lovers. We turn our backs on them because we want the world to paint this pretty Picasso picture of us. This is who we are. That's why it's the Broken Podcast. That's why this shit is broken. That's why community is so important. We're trying to hear from you. So let's see, Johnny. Let's we both did music, so we could freestyle some off the top of that. So let's. If we had to drop one thing, and I'll go first. So if we have to drop one question, right, and hit us in the comments, we want to know, right? I guess we'll each drop a question, right, to put out to everybody out there. So I guess if I had to ask a question, right, I'd ask a question if any relationship that you have right now, right, you have any relationship in your life that's not healthy, that could be borderline toxic, crazy toxic, anything, right? If you could take a different approach and change that tomorrow, just by whether taking a softer approach, harder approach, just doing something, switching, flipping the switch, right? I always call it the light switch. Light switch goes on and off, right? Yep. You flip that light switch on or you flip it off. But if you change something tomorrow, how much different would your relationship be with that individual? The Broken Podcast.
What the fuck makes y'all drive? Really? I mean, what is your what do you feel your purposes are?
I like that.
Here, do you feel like you have a purpose? What is your purpose? If you feel like you have one. And also, it'll be a two-part question. And if you don't know what your purpose is, do you feel like in today's times, life provides a fair opportunity for you? You know what I'm saying? To grow.
Can you find it? Yeah,
is it easy for you to find things, you know what I'm saying, that you need to grow? And I mean, like, information. Like, I get it. There's suicide hotlines and all that. I'm talking about if you feel like you're going somewhere in life you need to go somewhere in life and you need information. Like, where do you go for your information? Do you go to the library? Do you seek it from, your elders, a friend? Where do you go to get the information to help you? That's what I want to know. Like, for people, like, if you have questions, like general questions about shit. I know it sounds like a stupid question, but
I like that. Nah,
the only reason I say that is because, like I said, a lot of us don't make decisions on our own. We make decisions based off influence. So I want to know who your influences are. Who are the people that influence you to make choices? You know what I'm saying? The people that you go to that make these choices, all right?